What's up, guys? I'm Chris Spags here, back with another Four Corners for today's 6-game MLB main slate, courtesy of Awesemo.com. It's another day and one where it doesn't look like we'll have multiple games postponed after the Four Corners has been published, as unfortunately was the case on Friday. So right now, please hit that like button and of course subscribe to the channel to see all the content we have all day long. If you're subscribed to the channel today, you would have seen me on the MLB Strategy Show earlier this morning alongside my pal Greg Ehrenberg. You can also catch me on the tip-off later today. So why are you not subscribed? Do that right now and of course hit that like button immediately. And once again, there are no double dongs in the league on Friday, so no Awesemo Plus memberships given away yet since the return of the Four Corners, but you can get in today. And if there is a double dong today, you can win a free week of Awesemo Plus. So like this video and comment your double dong play down below. The guy you think is going to hit 2 home runs today, as the weather is starting to heat up, you're going to see that power start to rise. And that means the double dong game will give you a chance to get that free week of Awesemo Plus. So like this video and comment your double dong play if you want a chance to win a free week of Awesemo Plus, courtesy of the Four Corners video. But as we speak, my stomach is rumbling with the carcasses of the Chinese food of last night gone by, so we've especially got no time to waste in the Four Corners today. So let's get right into our first corner of the top stacks on today's slate, which has always come straight for our data that you can find for yourself at awesemo.com/join. And the top stack on today's slate looks like the Dodgers at the Mariners with 4.9 implied runs, a 17.8% chance of being the top stack, and a very appropriate 17.8% ownership as well. The Dodgers remain a top stack on pretty much any slate they're a part of, and a matchup with Justice Sheffield is no exception. Sheffield has limited power fairly well with a 114 ISO overall, but he also allows a 269 batting average that could easily add up against the quality hitting Dodgers. Including Max Muncy in a stack is one way to get different from the field, with only 1% ownership expected his way. Our next of the top stacks, according to Awesemo's top stacks tool, is the Angels versus the Rangers with 4.9 implied runs, a 12.6% chance of being the top stack, and 16.6% ownership expected. The Angels face Kohei Irihara, a pitcher whose very limited MLB sample size includes a brutal 12% K rate and 276 ISO allowed to right-handed batters. He should regress positively, but an Angels middle of the order with Mike Trout and Jared Walsh's massive power offers a lot of upside with potentially more appeal to three-man stacks due to the high ownership expected. And our last of the top stacks select the Giants at the Phillies with 4.2 implied runs, a 10.8% chance of being the top stack, and 9% ownership expected. The Giants face Chase Anderson, a pitcher who's allowed a 230 ISO since 2019. It has been even worse with a 6.8% on run rate allowed since last season. The Giants even have a quality hitter who looks underowned in the leadoff spot in Tommy La Stella. They also have quality value bats like Brandon Belt with their top 4 hitters in La Stella, Yastrzemski, Dickerson, and Belt. All those guys were over a 205 ISO. And now into our next corner of the top pitchers on the slate, as always, curated by our Awesemo data team, another tool you can get for yourself at awesemo.com/join. The top pitcher today looks like Joe Musgrove versus the Brewers with a 38% chance of being the top pitcher, along with 43% ownership expected. Musgrove has a 34% K rate over the last season plus. Recently pitched a no-hitter. It's a night he's slated to face a Milwaukee lineup with no Christian Yelich and 8 hitters who strike out above league average. You can argue Musgrove is due for negative regression closer to the 24.8% K rate that he's had since 2019, but it's still a strong spot for him to keep momentum going as the stud pitcher of this short slate. Our next of the top pitchers looks like Dylan Bundy versus the Rangers with a 25% chance of being the top pitcher, along with 26% ownership. Bundy brings a 27.3% K rate since last season against a Texas team with 4 guys who strike out above league average. Now, the Angels Park does allow more power than league average, but Texas' lineup is mostly undermanned, with only Nate Lowe and Joey Gallo over 200 ISO. So Bundy looks like a solid play, particularly compared to other higher-owned pitching options we'll talk about in our top-owned plays. And our last of the top pitchers looks like Brandon Woodruff at the Padres with a 21% chance of being the top pitcher, along with 12% ownership. Woodruff is another solid play at a potential pitcher's duel versus Joe Musgrove with a 31% K rate of his own, along with a .95 whip since last season. San Diego has dangerous power with a 193 aggregate ISO in their projected lineup. Woodruff's stuff has been nasty and he's limited power well, just a 2.5% home run rate since 2019. And now on to our next corner of some of the top owned players on today's slate, which always comes courtesy of Awesemo's ownership projections. And a top-owned play looks like Joe Musgrove versus Milwaukee with 43% ownership on DraftKings, number 1 overall, and 32% ownership on FanDuel, number 2 overall. As previously mentioned, Musgrove faces a Milwaukee projected lineup with 8 guys who strike out above league average, with a 34% K rate of his own since last season. The price tag may be a shocker, but Musgrove looks solid in this situation, on a short slate in particular. Our next top-owned play looks like Mike Trout versus Texas with 39% ownership expected on FanDuel, number 1 overall, and 30% ownership expected on DraftKings for 7th overall. Mike Trout's name speaks for itself in MLB with his 380 ISO versus right-hand pitching and an 8.3% home run rate in his power-friendly home park. Kohei Irihara has shown very little in the majors so far. It's hard to argue against Trout other than his lofty ownership and a very lofty price tag as well on DraftKings in particular. And our last of the top-owned plays is the guy I was hinting at earlier, Danny Duffy at Tampa Bay, with 39% ownership on DraftKings, second overall, and just 20% ownership on FanDuel. Duffy projects for a baffling amount of ownership on today's slate, with twice the ownership expected compared to his probability of being a top pitcher on DraftKings. His strikeouts have been up with a 23.4% K rate that's slightly above league average, but Duffy is a middling pitcher who seems worth moving away from with a pitcher like Dylan Bundy close to his price point. Now into our last corner, and dare I say my favorite corner, the low-owned dart throws that are coming straight from this beautiful mind right here. My first dart throw today looks like Mike Trout from Tampa Bay. With Danny Duffy's current lofty ownership, trying to get leverage against him seems logical. Trout is a righty bat with a 256 ISO versus left-hand pitchers. It's a low total for Tampa Bay with only 3.5 implied runs, but Trout's 6% home run rate could break up Duffy's day and knock out a large portion of the field. My next lower-owned dart throw is going to be Max Muncy from the Dodgers. Muncy has a steep price tag for a hitter projected to be in the 6th hole, but he's currently the only Dodger bat projected for under 10% ownership. With the Dodgers treated as a top option on any slate, including a guy like Muncy in the stacker as a one-off is one way to get different, despite his 226 ISO versus fellow lefties. And my last low-owned dart throw is Joe Ross from the Nationals. Ross is undeniably due for some negative regression, and he's not quite as good of a play as Dylan Bundy at a similar price point. He has a 0.82 whip and a 3.5 XFIP in a limited sample size this season. He faces a St. Louis lineup that has lofty ownership despite a 4 implied run total and an aggregate 82 WRC plus in their projected lineup. The park factor should favor Ross too, so he's an interesting play and next to no ownership expected. So there you have it. That's how this slate looks, barring any unforeseen games being postponed, but it seems like we should be safe today. So thank you guys for watching. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you want your chance to win that free week of Awesemo Plus. Like the video and comment your double dong pick down below. As I mentioned earlier, the weather is heating up, so we're going to start to get more double dong days, even though we haven't had a lot recently. So do that right now. Like the video and comment your double dong play. Tune into Live Before Lock coming up at 3:45 Eastern. Watch me on the tip off in a little bit and follow me at Chris Spags. I'll see you guys again very soon. So enjoy your days and good luck.